Hello, Internet. My name is the Golden Stalfos, and let's talk about the Uncharted movie. First of all, I don't know when this video is going to come out relative to the initial release of the film, but if it's still in theaters, definitely go see it there. It's totally worth your time. Second of all, this is the best movie adaptation of a video game ever made, full stop. And it's not surprising why. One, Uncharted is a video game that wanted to be a movie, so of course the movie adaptation is going to be good. It's already a movie. But two, it's being made by Sony Studios, who also owns the rights to Uncharted because it's a PlayStation exclusive, right? So of course, this well-known film studio that consistently makes mediocre to amazing films is going to make a pretty decent movie. I mean, okay, Sony Studios is responsible for all the Spider-Man movies and a couple of other things, but most of their movies aren't super popular. They just kind of exist. So, Also, the opening credits to this movie showed off a whole bunch of other popular Sony game mascot characters. It makes me wonder if they're planning to make movies out of them, and I'm not sure if I like that idea. I mean, God of War would work, but the rest, I don't want a Ratchet and Clank movie. Let's not do that. But yeah, the movie was great. I only even knew about it because I saw a trailer for it before the Spider-Man movie in December. And of course, during that trailer, I was confused because Tom Holland is Nathan Drake, and so it took me a minute to realize it was Uncharted because obviously they don't say the name of the movie until the end. But if you know the story, then you see the flashes of the shit and you hear him talk about his brother. You see the ships and you're like, oh, this is the story, okay. And it blew me away, right? Because I would never have thought to cast Tom Holland in that role because he doesn't look like Nathan Drake, right? He's not as tall or as broad or as 5 o'clock shadow, and he looks a lot younger than Nathan Drake does, even though they're the same age. You know, it's perpetually astonishing to me that Tom Holland is my age, because in the Spider-Man movies, you're supposed to be able to believe that he's 15 going on 20, and you do, in the most recent movie, he's just graduated high school, which would put him 7 years younger than what he actually is in real life, and it's totally believable. If anything, it seems like he's graduating a little bit early since he's only had 3 movies, and the first one he was a freshman, and the second one he just barely got back from. It really doesn't seem like there was enough time for him to graduate, or because in all of his movies took place pretty close together timeline wise. But whatever. And yet, despite all of that, he does an excellent job as Nathan Drake. I think he really brings out the comedic elements of the character super well. There are some moments where it's a little bit less believable. He doesn't quite look the part, but he does act the part really well. So I don't know. It's a surprisingly brilliant casting choice, and I really thought it worked for the most part. The cast in general seemed really good, really committed to making the film work. The film in general seemed really good. It seemed like they really wanted to hit all the major plot points of the game and also really show us how these characters interact with each other and take it all very seriously. And it works. It just works. Now, I'm not entirely certain how game accurate it is because I never really finished Uncharted because I don't like playing movies, but I've seen people talk about it on YouTube, and they definitely got at least the major plot points and at least the characters correct. So that's cool. And quite frankly, when you see it as a film, it's a good story. It's a solid little arc for all these characters, and there's a big treasure hunt and some cool action sequences, and it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I hope they make the sequel. I really do. I want the whole trilogy in film. It looks like it would be great for that. Now, as far as what this means for other video game to movie adaptations, I'm not sure that this game has a lot to teach other games. Most games are not anywhere near as cinematic focused as Uncharted. Not to say that no games are. Obviously, the Tomb Raider franchise, especially after the reboot, is very much modeled after Uncharted. And, obviously, The Last of Us is the same thing because it's the same developers. And God of War is pretty cinematic focused. There's a few major franchises, but it's not a thing that you can approach every game with. Like, The Legend of Zelda has a plot, but it's not cinematic. But I do think that in general, if a game has a story and interesting characters, then that can be enough to carry a film, especially if the world happens to be interesting to look at. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time on the world building. This movie spends a decent amount of time talking about Magellan's crew finding gold and burying it because that's the gold they're looking for, but it doesn't really spend any time establishing how they were able to build all these Rube Goldberg machines or why no one has just found this shit by digging in the city because it's a modern city with like subway systems and shit, I mean, one of the chambers is taken over by an underground nightclub, but they haven't gone into any of the other areas, which seems weird. And like all these contraptions are underground in places where sewage would normally be done. One of them is directly under a fountain. And like, surely that shit would have been found out. One of them is 2 feet below ground level and there's a grate connecting it, and like, yeah, the people who run the city would have opened up that grate at some point and seen what was under there. Don't kid yourself. I mean, one of the keyholes that they need to access was straight up hidden in a Papa John's. Which is hilarious and great, and I love it. I'm just saying, like, this movie clearly isn't that concerned with realism or world building, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. And other video game movies don't need to be either. Like, you can do that kind of shit. Like, it's fine. It's a goofy premise. Go with it. Roll with it. Have fun with it. It's great. So personally, I really look forward to seeing Sony make the sequels to this movie, probably do Last of Us as well, which I'm personally not as excited for because it's just kind of a generic save the girl, kill the zombies movie, and like, whatever. But yeah, it's a good, fun action movie. Tom Holland is great in the leading role, and go watch it. It's worth your time. This is hands down the best video game movie adaptation ever, and it's great. I look forward to more. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Hey, Endcard here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, seriously though, please subscribe. I have like no subscribers. It's sad. If you want to find me on other social media stuff, you can do that at the Golden Stalfos on basically everything. Links to that are in the description, as well as to some charities I like but am obviously not affiliated with. I also have a Patreon if you like me so much that you want to give me money, though obviously only do that if you have money to burn, and if you do have money to burn, they're the charities I mentioned before. They probably need it more than I do. Mad ups to my girlfriend for doing all the editing for these videos. It's a really big help. Oh, and I occasionally stream on Twitch, so follow me there so you don't miss it. I don't have a formal schedule because when I tried to have a formal schedule, I couldn't keep to it, so oh well. Okay, thanks, bye!